Hi there. In the last 2 days, crypto prices has fallen sharply. So this is like an unplanned session. Some supporters suggested me doing midweek sessions, and I didn't realize the opportunity comes so quickly. I'm not going to repeat what I usually do in the weekly sessions. What I'm going to do in this session is to quickly go through all the 13 top cryptos that I cover over the weekend and take a quick look at where would the price possibly be reaching. So it will be shorter for all the 13 cryptos that I'm going to cover. If you're interested in the details, you can go back to visit my weekly live update sessions. So without further ado, let's start with, you know it, if you are always with me, the disclaimer. This is for educational and research purpose only and not financial advice. So please take note of that. So let's begin. So this is the Bitcoin chart. We'll come back to this at the very end. So it's the usual sequence. I'll start with Hedera. This will be very quick, so please bear with the speed. So this is the daily chart of Hedera. In the weekly session, I already talked about this downward short-term playground zone, right? Without surprise, the price returns to the box, continuing this downward trend. So in the weekly session, I talked about like a downward flag pattern. It may come out of the pattern. The textbook says full bullish, but it's not like it's going to rebound way high, right? Now it's proven, and the thing is, if we look at Wyckoff pattern, the sign of weakness is getting lower and lower. We haven't seen a green candle for the weekly chart yet, so if the next week it develops as a red candle, it may go past the preliminary supply level. So the thing here is, remember I talked about these areas without overlapping trading activities. We have to look at way back to 2021. So there isn't any when the price climbed this time. So there's no strong support, as I mentioned in the weekly session. So right now, the price is stopping near to where the last sign of weakness was. However, this is not, I won't say it's a strong reference. Obviously, maybe some people or traders are referring to this, so that's why there's a little bit of rebound at this point. But just looking at the current cycle without overlapping trading activities overall, this isn't there's no overlap between the candles. You see the open close, they're not like within the middle or any main body of the candle themselves. So this is why the price can drop so quickly in just a day or a week. So that's for Hedera. If there is really a support, the white box, the top of the white box, the long-term playground zone, we would probably be seeing a little bit of rebound over here when it touches this area. So let's get to Swecon. So Swecon, I talked about this purple line, the resistance line set by the automatic reaction over here when the price climbed during the distribution cycle. Now, also I already talked about this blue line, the preliminary support line. So I said the price is going to bounce between these two lines. So far, it's still behaving the same, even though it has dropped from this point. So that one we're talking about like 16% drop. In the daily chart, I've drawn a pennant during the weekend session. it's so quick that this, well, becomes a reference now. I was expecting that there may be a little bit of bounce before it actually determined, the price actually determined to go up or go down. Now, obviously has developed another start of a trading range. So if I were to draw something, this may be the thing that's going to happen. So there's again a downward playground zone. You already know it if you have been following for weeks of my weekly sessions. So at this point, we see the price bounce up a little bit. It hasn't touched the bottom of the box around $2.50, but it may. We have to see. So the price would bounce between this channel or within this channel, and the blue line I already mentioned in the weekly chart, that's the support of the preliminary defined by the PSY. Let's use the acronym. If you're interested, you can always Google Wyckoff method and PSY. So let's see what happens to Sweetcoin as well, and see whether it will bounce within the channel, like I said. And for Stellar, not much surprise. We talked about probably for 2-3 weeks already, counting the candles. It's going to bounce between the bottom of the pink box and the top of the white box, and it's still doing the same. As soon as it touches the top of the white box, it returns. I've got a little bit of bounce up. In terms of Wyckoff, again, after the sign of weakness, the price bounced a little, and then now it retesting the support line of the long-term playground zone. If I zoom out a little, you'll be able to see, like last time, there was some higher tests after the buying climax. This time, we went straight lower. Last time it went lower than the PSY as well. This time we aren't there yet, so it may happen similarly, it may not. It depends on how the market reacts, whether there are any news coming out. Like I mentioned in multiple weekend sessions, geopolitical risk, economic risk, and also technology risk are the key drivers that would drive the price up to test the resistance, or down to test the support. So that's Stellar. And in terms of AVAX, Avalanche, well, it has been hovering within the long-term playground zone, and the current level, it's almost similar to where it started, or in the midsection of the accumulation cycle last year. So it's not a surprise. It may be a start of another accumulation cycle. We have to see how bad the environment develops, the macro environment I'm referring to. It may go as low as the levels in 2023. That's a possibility, and that's also the bottom of the long-term playground zone. In terms of daily chart, I haven't drawn anything in particular. I already mentioned like this midsection, or like a line where it cuts across a lot of trading activities. It's a resistance line, and this week it's basically still underneath this resistance line. And quickly into LinkedIn, link chain. So this Chainlink, I've obviously speak too fast. So Chainlink fallen through the downward channel, the downward flag. So that's a good example why I mentioned in some of my sessions that candlesticks patterns, it's not like 100% foolproof method. It's, well, looking at the textbook definitions, we can take some reference, but things can happen outside of it, and well, people call those black swan events or whatever they like to name it. So the price itself, after falling through this channel, it enters finally to the long-term playground zone. So for Wyckoff, it's of no surprise, once it's fallen through the level of the preliminary supply, the PSY, this long candle bar here, when the price shot up in November last year, there's no strong support within this range. So that's why it went straight through. Even if we look at the daily chart, the support level, it's right where the price level is. So once it fell through, once it fell through, there's no overlapping candles. This is the section where the overlapping candles we can see, right? And that's where the price is at the time being. So let me draw a circle here, so it's easier. So that's where the price is getting some support right now. Okay, so regarding the price levels, obviously there's a bit of support here with a large bunch of trading activities since the last buying climax happened in November 2023. So it may stay at this point and then bounce between these two yellow lines. If things really get worse or more numbers come out that is telling the bad news, I would say this level probably is the other level, like at $10, or just by reading the charts. There's no complication about this. So let's see how Chainlink is going to develop. Now onto TRON. In terms of Wyckoff, again, it's still bouncing between the yellow and purple lines. Similarly, it's the resistance line defined by the automatic reaction, the AR, and the support line defined by the sign of weakness. I draw a middle between the lows of the two SOW, and the price happens exactly in the range where it's expected. So here, the daily chart, interestingly, we talked about the blue upward trend like an upward flag, right? And then we said upward flag, bearish sign, and without hitting the top of the flag, the price fell through, right? And where the price, the top of the candle right now, this is counting the wick, is the top of this yellow downward trend, the relatively longer trend. So I covered like 3 short-term time frames: the pink one, the short-term playground zone, and then the relatively shorter downward trend, and also the very short, just in the matter of around 2 weeks, upward flag. So right now it has returned to the yellow zone, let's put it this way, and the support line is obviously the bottom of the pink box at 22 cents to fall. Let's see when it gets closer, because this is a triangle here. If we look at the yellow line where it crosses the pink line, so whether the price will consolidate within this triangle, or would it fall through the pink and then hit the lower section of the yellow box and do a bounce like this, similar to what had happened earlier, like end of last year to like end Jan this year. So that's probably what we're going to see for TRON. Unless there's some very good news, then it can try to break outside of the yellow box to the upside again. Now Cardano, we've drawn this triangle and it obviously has broken through. So again, this can be another example telling us candlesticks patterns. Well, understand them and use them with a grain of salt. Let's put it this way. As mentioned multiple times, they are not 100% good references, even for some of the technical analysis indicators also available in TradingView. There are a bunch of them that you can use, but they're not always actionable. I like to use the term actionable. We can't always just rely on them and make decisions to trade. So here, what I was trying to say is this ascending triangle. Textbook theory says it's bullish sign, but we can already tell from this is a good example telling us that's not always the case. So don't be overly bullish about setting your positions whenever you see these kind of patterns in future. Always set your stop loss with discipline. So now, given this situation, to make it easier, let's again try to draw a box and see what's happening. If you're new to the playground zone theory, I didn't invent this. There was a German, I think, if I'm correctly, I need to go back to my notes. Investor, similar to Wyckoff, a famous investor that invented these kind of trading range theory. I just name it playground zone so more people would understand what playground zone is, right? So it's now it's like it's trading, or the price is bouncing between this up and down slope, not up and down, like upper and lower slopes. Now, and it also bounces back from the top of the long-term playground zone. So if I zoom out a little, you see where the long-term playground zone is, right? So it's like it's saying, oh, we don't want to get back to the long-term playground zone yet. However, the trend itself looks like it's inevitable, but we'll have to see if there are some very good good surprises that comes out. It may bounce up and retest the lower boundary of the short-term playground zone, the horizontal one. I'll leave this box here and set it to current interval only, so we don't see it at the weekly chart. So that's roughly where Cardano is in terms of Dogecoin. Again, it obviously returned to the long-term playground zone. A lot of people say, well, crypto's prices won't return to where they were because of ETFs or friendly regulatory environment, all that, but that's not the case, and it's proven in the past 2 days that prices can return to where they once were. So going back to the price itself, it may be able to find support after this level at this range where we see a lot of candles over here for the PSY and AR in the last cycle in 2024. That's a level at around 16-17 cents. Well, there's obviously a range over here, right? It's not that exact. It can go lower around 15 cents. It all depends, how bad the market is going to be. The good thing is, well, depending on like in 6 to 7 hours when this candle closes, whether the volume continue to decline, same for the coming few days. If the price stabilize and the the selling pressure gets lower, there may be some good sign. In terms of the daily chart, over the weekend I've drawn this. You can go back to my weekly session. So basically, the blue box, I mentioned it's like the prices bounces within the week for last week and also the week before. That's how the prices were doing in terms of very short term in a few days. In terms of longer term, in terms of like 2-3 weeks pattern, is like it's going downward. So these are like upward trends within the downward trend. The yellow is a downward. The short term blue one is an upward. So as soon as the price hits the top or the resistance line of the yellow box, it hovers around it, tried to break through. It can be a bull trap, according to some people, but like it returns immediately in the last 2 days. So that's pretty much it for Dogecoin. So remember, the support at somewhere near the top of the accumulation cycle happened last year. Whether it will get all the way to the bottom of the accumulation, again, it all depends on how bad the news are. So into Binance. Binance, from a macro perspective, it's successfully, at this point in time, there's still a few more days, returned to defend this support line defined by the second test after the buying climax. It obviously poked through, and well, it didn't touch all the way to the purple support line set by the automatic response. So, well, that may be a sign of relief for some people, but I already mentioned in the past that Binance coin is a bit tricky because it's also a like exchange coin, so the demand may be a little bit different. In terms of daily, it broke through the downward flag already. Again, another good example. Downward flag doesn't always mean bullish. The thing here is, as soon as it hits the center line of the short-term playground zone, the support line that I mentioned in my weekly sessions, it has a pause, and then just today it fell below, and now it has regained position. So this high volume bar at the bottom, it's like, it seems to me that as soon as the price went through the middle line, there are some quite significant buying orders over there. So let's see whether that demand continues. It happened before, just the beginning of this month, that the price went below and it slowly climbed back to above like the upper half of the trading zone. If there isn't really a strong support, the price may retest, and like the lower part of the trading zone or the playground zone will become the trading range again. So that's a good way to use the playground zone term as well, because it can have two different trading ranges, the upper range and the lower range. So that's for Binance. And for Solana, so it's still within the blue short-term downward trading range or trading zone, and it's also still within this pink short-term playground zone as well. So it's not exactly a surprise, because since March 2000, or actually February 2024, the price has been trading within this range. From Feb last year to November last year, it has been within this range, and now it's just going to repeat what has happened for almost an entire year last year. So in terms of macro, Wyckoff pattern and also the candlesticks, this yellow line is basically the support line defined by the sign of weakness over here, this particular one. And as soon as the price touches this, there's some buying power pushing the price back to the current level. So if there's no further bad news coming out, if the economic environment or whatever hacking or technological concerns like mining hash rate, etc., purple and yellow line would probably define the next trading range. If not, then obviously it will go below the yellow line, but there may be some support somewhere around here where the price dropped a little for 4 weeks from the PSY. That's around $90. Let's see how that will develop. Okay, Ripple still bouncing between the purple and green line, no surprise. Daily, I haven't drawn much actually. It only went below the middle line, so it broke through the support and then now trading at the lower section. So it happened before December 2024 started, and then all the way to mid-Jan this year. That particular roughly 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks. We can double check. Yeah, 23 days, over 3 weeks, before it returns to the upper section and then broke out of the top of the short-term playground zone. But it didn't last for too long. It's roughly around 2 weeks or so, and then returns to the upper half of the playground zone, and that's as a trading range. Now it returns to the lower half. So that's for Ripple. And for Ethereum, it's still within the blue blocks I drawn during the weekend. We already know the price is always, most of the time, if it doesn't break out, it's going to bounce between the upper edge of the box and the lower edge of the box. And now what it is doing is the price basically, as soon as it hit or went through a little of the mid section of the short-term playground zone, the pink line, it returns and tests the bottom of the pink box, the short-term playground zone. So earlier, like almost half a year ago now, September last year, it tested this level. As October as well. So September, October, there were 2 occasions here and here that this price level got tested, and it was still like the sentiments was still good, and this, you can treat it as an accumulation cycle. Actually, the price fell all the way, and then an accumulation cycle happened, and that's where we had this distribution cycle again, and now we're coming back down to where it is. So one thing that's important is we have to observe whether a similar accumulation cycle will happen this time, or will it fall all the way to the white box, the long-term playground zone. So this was the accumulation that happened, and then we had this distribution cycle again. And if right now it's below the PSY, right? Let's see whether it can return to above the blue line. If not, then the next level would be somewhere around 2,200 roughly. That's somewhere around the top of the SOS, the sign of strength from the mega accumulation cycle. Happened in 2023, I think. Yeah, that's to April 2023 roughly. And also the bottom of the PSY candle. So this 2,150 level, plus and minus, would be the next support. We have seen 3 times that this level has been tested as well. So let's see what's going to happen in the next few days. It's going to be interesting, absolutely. So last but not least, most importantly, Bitcoin. Right now it has fallen through the orange line. So I have mentioned in my weekly sessions that the orange line is a weak support for the very same reasons I mentioned multiple times in multiple crypto. These long candlesticks do not have their body overlapped. Their wicks have overlapped with other candles, but not their body. So that's not a good sign in terms of a support. So the green line would be a relatively stronger support, but don't take it as an absolute price like say 71,000. It's always a range, so it can range from here to here. So it's basically this bunch of candlesticks around this range that has their open or closing price at that level. So Bitcoin, people say like, oh, it won't fall below 90,000, but it did. Again, green line in terms of the mega or the macro perspective. In terms of the micro, it has fallen through this. Again, here the orange line I already mentioned is a range. So far it's found support from these 2 candlesticks happened in November last year. These 2 candles were like having their open and close and open, I should say, at the current level 87,000. The worrying thing is this rising trading volume or selling volume. If this continues, this reference candle, this long green candle, and also these 2, basically without overlap, the next level would be somewhere around here at 76,000 before it tests. Let me keep this line over here as well, so at the weekend session we can look at it again. So the pink box, the other short-term pre-ground zone, but relatively longer than what we see this time, that started February last year, exactly 1 year ago. 72,000 would be the other much stronger support. If it breaks through, then the new trading range would be 55 to 72. So let's see whether the traders or the big players, the market composer, would allow the price to return to this zone and trade over there before returning to the long-term playground zone, or doesn't allow it to return to the long-term zone. So a rather unexpected special session covering all 13 crypto top crypto that I usually cover during the weekend. Thanks for joining me. Safe trading. Wish you good luck, and